Then she is arguing that there should be consideration for the future generation also. So there should be a limit to the development. Now there are two questions which arise. We are overutilizing because we have created technology. So we are sucking first we went for coal, and then we went for this oil, and oil we are also taking out and utilizing it to the extent that there are exploitative situation. The poor countries are unable to afford, and a lot of money is given for the import of oil. And this oil is also in the turn, they are providing facility, but at the same time polluting the atmosphere. Delhi atmosphere today is severely. It is all cloudy, smoke. A lot of smog is there, so breathing is becoming difficult, particularly those who are the breathing trouble. So this whole vicious circle, how to break it? And the recommendation is that we should now restrict ourselves and control ourselves so that our coming generation may also utilize these resources. But the question is, one, are we aware of the culture of the coming generation? Can we envisage what type of generation will be after 100 years? That is 2021. So after 100 years, what resources will be required? Are we very sure about their culture that they will require the same petroleum? They will require the same coal. Our forefathers never had petroleum. And our forefathers also did not think of our future, what type of future they are going to give us. So what type of future we are going to provide to our coming generation after 100 years? And are we sure that they will require the same resources which we are requiring today? Then what we are going to conserve and preserve for them? So one is not very sure about the culture. Even food supply. Are we sure about the food basket of Indians in future? Our food basket is very restricted as compared to Chinese food basket. Chinese food basket is very, very vast, and they can survive in case of scarcity. But since we have the population which is completely vegetarian or non-vegetarian, no non-vegetarians are also selective only for certain type of meat or certain type of animals. But it means that our food basket, in spite of the fact that all those things which are eaten in other places are eaten by some communities in India also, but our general food basket is very, very limited. And consequently, the concern is that what will happen in future unless we go for conservation and we go for diversification. It is not only the specialization which is going to sustain us, but also the diversification which is going to sustain us. And this diversification may be in the economic activities and in our production system. But passing from this whole issue of sustainable development, now from sustainable development, now very vividly it is being talked about these sustainable development goals, SDGs. And everybody is talking about the sustainable development goals. Now, the whole sustainable development issue was continuing, and all the United Nations member states adopted the 2030 agenda for sustainable development in 2015. That is, after 15 years, they created an agenda that and all the member states signed it. The agenda that uh, provides the shared blueprint for peace and prosperity of people and the planet now and into the future. So the concern is that how the planet can be saved and the people can be saved and they can experience the sustainable development. That is the concern, and how we are going to bring this agenda in 2030. At its heart, there are 17 sustainable development goals. That these 17 sustainable goals should be attained and achieved by all the member states, those who are signatories there. What are these sustainable development goals? I'll give you, describe them. And the first goal, sustainable development goal, is eradication of poverty. End poverty or eradicate poverty in all its forms everywhere. It is a very, very laudable goal, but can it be achieved? We have been talking about the alleviation of poverty, poverty, removal of poverty. We have been talking about this whole strategy of making people self-sufficient. But have we succeeded? Still, there are poor people. Poverty is there. It is not in one country. It is a universal phenomenon. Even in the developed countries, do you think that there are no poor people? Till the distribution of wealth, distribution of productive capacity is equal, this equality is rather just utopia, utopian concept or El Dorado. Secondly, the goal is end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition. Very laudable goal. One is end hunger, that is, hunger should be removed, and food security should be achieved, and at the same time, improve nutrition. Nutrition means that there's no malnutrition. The children should not be malnutrition. Nutrition. They should be proper food, and their health situation should be better than what it is. And yeah, this whole malnutrition situation is universal in the sense that African countries and some of the Asian countries, this is a very, very endemic situation, that children are poor children are malnutrition, and there is a lot of hunger. And in our country also, this hunger is very, very serious problem. Thirdly, ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. Again, very laudable goal, that all ages should be provided better living conditions, particularly the senior citizens. Certain facilities are given to senior citizens, and we are recipient of that. And also the youth, uh, they should get the healthy life, and they should adopt healthy methods of attaining health. Fourthly, ensure inclusive and equitable quality education. Here comes education. That education should all be certain level universal, and certain level it should be equitable, and it should be, because education provides power. It is power which depends upon the quality of education. So quality of education should also be monitored, and the poor people should also get the learning opportunity, which once upon a time we went for adult literacy program, that everybody should be at least literate, uh, uh, should be aware of 3 hours reading, writing, and some arithmetic. And that experience I have in Ethiopia when I was there in Addis Ababa. It was compulsory. Adult education was compulsory. And for example, I had a maid, and all the maids and even mothers, they used to have their children at the back and used to study in the adult literacy schools. And the maid, if she is absent And she says that it is because of the person with whom I'm working did not allow me to come out at 4 o'clock. That is why I'm late. Then by the next morning, that person is going to be in jail. So at 3:30, I used to say my maid servant that, all right, now you go. So because of that, they attained by about 83, 84, they attained the 100% literacy. So literacy is all right. It is, they can write their name, some counting may be done, but it is not education, literacy. Fifthly, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. We have been talking about gender equality. Our laws are there to provide gender equality and also the protection of the girl's child and also their proper education and health. Then sixthly, ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. So water supply and sanitation, that is again an utopia, because even where water-rich countries, they do not have proper water facility. We even in the urban areas, we do not have palatable water or good water ensured to you all. Ensure, ensure access to affordable and reliable energy sources, electricity or other energy sources are available to all. Then it promotes sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full of productive employment and decent work for all, employability. Now, particularly during these two endemic situations, 2 years of corona endemic, what has happened to our employment situation? Uh, it has worsened, and it is very, very difficult now for the younger generation to get employment, and that is worrying. How these people are going to sustain, and if they are unable to sustain, then what will be the social situation in the country? Maybe lawlessness may increase, and in some of the urban areas, it is being experienced. Then there is build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. Now you can see what are these. One is the resilient infrastructure. So infrastructure should be such that it can be rebuilt if there is a sort of calamity. If there is a tsunami, then the infrastructure may be rebuilt, and it should be providing and promoting industrialization and also faster innovation. Because you see, if the infrastructure is there, then only industrialization is possible. Thirdly, reduce inequality within and among countries. So that is another very important situation. Within the countries, one has to, but at the same time, if within the countries there is no haves and have-nots, then it may also reduce the conflict, inter-state or inter-country conflicts. Then there is make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. I do not know what it means. Settlement inclusive. All the settlements are generally inclusive. The only thing is that poor quarters are separate from rich quarters, and that one cannot avoid. Then there is ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. So production pattern will provide sustainable consumption. Take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. So that is now we are talking about, even the geographers are talking about the climatic change. Conserve and sustainably use the oceans and seas and marine resources. Protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably sustainable range of forests, and combat desertification and halt the reverse land deforestation, reverse land degradation, I'm sorry. And 16th is promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development. Promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development. Provide justice for all and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. So, inclusive society, all are these highly acclaimed and desired ideals. But ideals and also the reality, how they can be meshed together. 17th and the last one is strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for maintainable development. Now, these are 17 sustainable goals which have been identified by UN and we have signed them. But you can see all these 17 are highly idealized. They are desirable, but desirable at what level, at what resource input, and how much one has, because the countries have to make sure about the availability of the finances. And these finances will depend upon the GDP growth. And if the GDP growth is not taking place in a desirable direction, then where are the resources? And the resources, if they are not, then there should be international mechanism through World Bank or the IMF. They should provide softer loans to the poorer countries so that they can come up to a certain level where they can sustain their developmental situation. Lastly, what you have tried to understand is the community resilience. Community resilience, what does it mean? It means that how we can face the situations together. I will give you the example of Corona. In the Corona, it is endemic. It was pandemic rather, and this pandemic, we were put in a very, very serious situation. Now people started dying in hordes, not only in our country, but throughout the world. And West were Italy, Spain, United States. But you see how, in our case, how the community came to the rescue. People tried their resources, put them together, and tried to help each other. Resilience means that if there is problem, if there is some calamity, how we are going to face it collectively. It is just like the in the case of calamity, animals do not fight with each other. They can climb up. If climb up and stay there, elephants and the goats and sheep, everything. So just like that, we have the community, whether it is going to sustain together with their own resources or they are going to suffer. So this sustainability will depend upon the local conditions and the type of settlements in which we are located. Generally, urban population is highly self-centered. What is happening in the next flat, we generally don't bother or we do not know. But in the rural areas, Rural areas, there is more cooperation and there the resilience is there. It is said that तुम्हारे शहर में मैयत को सब कांधा नहीं देते. दिस इज द ट्रेजेडी. तुम्हारे शहर में मैयत को सब कांधा नहीं देते और हमारे गांव में छप्पर भी सब मिलकर उठाते हैं. Now you see, the village is different from the city. There is, everyone knows everybody in the villages, and they are actually bound with relations, and therefore they come together very fast, as in the urban area. But there are, in the urban area, there are philanthropic organizations which are maintained by the society, and sometimes they come forward to combat and to help each other. I can give you example of some of these, like the aid Khalsa aid, the gurdwaras, some of the temples, some of the NGOs. They come forward and try to ameliorate the situation and help the poorer people. So resilience is a very, very empirical situation, and one can study this empirically, where they have been able to sustain and they were more resilient and they were able to face trouble with the help of each other by holding hands. That is the basic concept of resilient community, and community role is there in different community situations. So one can have the associations, one can have NGOs, one can have the village panchayats, one can have the city or urban municipal corporations, urban philanthropic associations, which can maintain a sort of semblance of resilient accommodation of people. Thank you very much.